What's up everybody, Jason here. So I wanted to talk pretty quickly about this front door that's having an issue locking and unlocking. It's very common in wood front doors like this to not be secured properly. So I'm going to show you what you can do to fix it and what problems it can cause if your strike plate, which is what we're going to look at, is not correct or the hole is not drilled deep enough for it. So I've already unscrewed the screws from this lock, but I want to show you how it acts.
Door is closed fully. The deadbolt feels like it goes in, but it doesn't go in very far. Now again, I've got this unscrewed, so I can't really show you very well, but what's happening is the deadbolt, if we can see right there, wait, there we go, right there. See how it is not lining up, and what happens is when people are using that thumb turn to lock the door, it can twist this bar right here. That bar is supposed to be flat, sticking out of it. And what happens is after people twist and twist trying to get the door to lock, this part can break or just become so twisted that it messes up your lock. So to get it off the door, we first have to untwist it a bit with just a pair of pliers. I'm gonna grab it right there at the twist, and we're gonna twist it back just enough to get it off the door. That's the main first thing that we need to do, and it has to be pretty flat to come off. Flat enough, we can hopefully get this cylinder out. Yeah, there we go. Still got a little twist in it there. Let's untwist it just a bit more. You never want to use the thumb turn to do this because you can break it. There we go. And we can see the plate here is, number one, not drilled deep enough. This needs to be 1 inch deep, and it is only not even ½ inch deep. So that's the biggest problem with these is door companies will come put these doors in, but they never drill this out deep enough. So two things we need to do here, aside from fix the obvious loose screws here too, is change this plate to a bigger one, mortise out the area and drill that hole deeper so that the deadbolt engages correctly. And there's usually a good indication on the frame of where it's fallen, so we can see if we draw a line from here to there that it's hitting, and you can also see it in the middle where it's bent in. So we both need a bigger plate to kind of cover up this mess and drop it down just a bit so that it's centered between where it needs to be. Here it looks like it's perfectly centered, it just needs better screws. So let's take care of that. While we have it off the door, it's always a good idea to flatten it out as much as you can. You can use any two types of pliers, like linesman's pliers or even regular style pliers. I'm using this because it's got that nice parallel jaw, but if we see, it still has just a bit of a bend in it. I only bent it enough to get it out the door. So we want to make sure it's just as flat as possible. So I'm going to just tweak it right about there because it's got a little bend in it right there. And looks like we need to go straight down as well. Right up there. And just get it as, it's not going to be perfectly flat and straight. You could put it on a vise squeeze it in a vise. But in the field, usually we get it just as close as we can, just like that. Unfortunately, all makers and all manufacturers use different bars, so it's not a simple matter of just replacing the bar. There's already tons of parts that we have to carry, and you know, if possible, if you have a bar, it's a good idea to replace it. But this is a decorative hardware style that uses kind of a specific length and width and how it intersects with that. So not always, you can't always just replace this if it's not needed, which it shouldn't be once we get it working right. On almost all of these that use this cross style tailpiece, or the flat tailpiece with this cross latch, you almost always want to, this is a Jado brand by chance, you almost always want to stick a screwdriver in there and extend the bolt before you put this back in. On the back of the cylinder, if you hold it straight up and down like you'd be putting it on the door, you have a certain rotation of this bar. And here we see it starting vertical, it stops, and then goes the other way and stops. So the halfway position between this and this, the two stops, would be horizontal. With the bolt out, slip your, oh no, y'all need a door stop. Slip your cylinder in with the latch out like that, and that should be the correct way. You can check it by turning and turning, and then checking your key on the outside to make sure the timing's right. Okay, after you get your lock back on the door and you verify it's extending fully and the key's coming out like it's supposed to, you need to fix the strike. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate why this is not a good thing. We've got the door secured. I've not adjusted anything yet, so this plate is still loose. This is as it was when I came here. And about the furthest we can get it is right there. So to most people, they're going to assume that that's fully locked. Now watch. Well, I was going to show you using this pump-up bag would have easily created a gap. However, all I had to do was rattle the door a couple of times. So that's why it's important to make sure your strike plate is drilled correctly and aligned up. All right, we're going to take this plate off. And its short screws, and replace it with a bigger one. Also going to go ahead and switch these screws out. Looks like somebody stacked a double plate on here. Always want to do your bottom plate first because that affects how the deadbolt sits. And looks like we are a little far down on that significant gap in the door. Ideally this would be hung correctly, but this is not really sufficient for my idea, because if it drops any more, it's not going to catch. So we need to correct that. You can come back in with your preferred wood filler and fill in the gap. Let's see how it does. Okay, so we are centered. Way better than we are. A little bit low, but the door likely would drop anyway. And now we're going to check this. You can see that we need to go down to right where the wood is. Alright, 1-inch drill bit. We need to go at least 1 inch deep. With this thick rubber, you do have to hold it back to make sure you don't get it caught on the drill bit. Now, this is one of the problems with spade bits. There is nothing for this really to grab onto. So what I'll do is I'll come up at an angle, just like this, bury the tip of it in to the wood, and then very slowly start drilling, and then start angling my drill back straight. So now I'm almost perfectly horizontal, and I've got the surface of it there where it needs to be. And then go ahead and just drill it out deeper. I also have this little wood burr, wood and metal. I'm gonna burr out the back. Grab our new plate. Cover up that hole. We're going to kind of mark around where we need to be installing this one. pretty much centered with that right there. And the top of it is still kind of centered, so that's about what we have for the new plate. This one we're going to use a security plate. You could, however, this is a repair. I'm going to use longer screws, but you can, this is an optional plate. If you're in an area where you're concerned about higher crime, you can use this with the heavier screws. This particular job I'm not, because this is not for somebody. If this was for the owner of a house, we would always say, do you want to do this? This is, you really have to do this. So what I'm doing is what is really necessary for the health of the door. However, it's not the high security option. It would have been up there. And there are heavier plates as well that you could use to do this with. There are all styles of these plates. This is just the one we're using for this job. This wood is really soft. Some areas, some building construction is just not conducive to higher security installations. But we get this put in just like that. Should be good to stay. And I am going to use 3-inch wood screws, just not the heavier option. Or the double plate option. Here we go. So at least it is getting some good screw biting action into the wood behind it here. And lastly, what you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's dark bronze with those brass screws. Yeah, nothing really ever touches these, so you're perfectly okay to use. I use a Pro, it writes on wet and dry. There's also the industrial Sharpies. This is just kind of a concealment trick. Again, no big deal, because once it's on there, most likely nobody's ever gonna touch those screws. Well, most people don't even care, to tell you the truth, but there are a few out there. So dude, and there we go. So really just to cover it up, because of course there's nothing you can do about that besides this, and that's just gonna wear off pretty quick again. So yeah, another little trick. And we should be able to close the door. Should lock. All right, now there is the, you always have the thick rubber weather stripping there. So that's always going to be a little bit of an issue when you have that, because it will make the door compress in and out. However, we have full contact there, and the deadbolt is extending fully. And if we look, we see it is centered. Sometimes it is necessary to do that. Another thing is you can move these plates back if there's a big gap in the door, or you may even have to move the whole thing forward just a bit. So back or forward. These little tabs are not designed to be bent and moved back. So let's take this plate and go back just a bit. So we're going to move this back just a bit. It's right there. See what I mean about how the latch affects the deadbolt? How it latches here affects how it lines up here. And we have perfect now. So you want to make sure that it is catching okay, but you can see now we don't have to put pressure on the door to get it to lock. So that's it. Again, about the only other thing we could do here is to put in the security strike plate and or a dust cup if you're so inclined. There is that option as well. However, we're not doing it on this job. We are just making this lock. Thanks for watching, y'all. If you have any questions or comments on this or any other door issues, as always, post them in the comment section. Catch you next video. Hey y'all, thanks for watching. Make sure and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, there's a link up here in the top corner to subscribe to the channel. If you have not done so, make sure and hit that bell notification so you know instantly when we upload the newest content. Thanks again for being here. We really appreciate all y'all who watch our videos. So make sure and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will catch you next video.